Testing 1 2 3. Do we have everything in order? Yes, we do. I see the blue light is on. Hey, everyone. James Nussbaumer of jamesnussbaumer.com, and I am the author of this book that I'm so proud of, The Master of Everything, a story of mankind in the world of illusion we call life. It is a spiritual manifesto to a better life. And yes, it's written from my studies of A Course in Miracles. And yes, I am a very spiritual person. I'm a very spiritual person, thanks to A Course in Miracles that brought it out of me. But I'm not the spiritual Swami kind of guy, or the, put on the robe kind of thing and wear bare feet and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm just a normal guy that loves to play golf. In fact, today, this beautiful October weather in Northeast Ohio, beautiful late October weather, my friend Ronnie Skeen and Dirty Mike and Tommy Hunt, we all got together today, and we're all about the same age, give or take a few years, and we just had such a tremendous time on the golf course today because we're all spiritual people. And we just enjoyed each other. But we're not talking about our golf game today. I'm talking about strategy for reaching your true potential. And before I get going here, I got a few messages on Facebook that asked me if I would slow down a little bit through my blog posts because people are liking them. But they said, Jim, you're just going a little bit too fast. Some people call me James, some people call me Jim. If you email me, whatever feels best for you, you can. It's either Jim or James, whatever. But what we're going to get at is, are you of the many that are denying yourself the freedom of your true free will? Are you really denying your true free will? When I play golf most mornings, I am choosing total freedom rather than thinking I need to gain it. What do I mean by that? Well, total freedom, total and true inner freedom can never be gained because you always have it in you. It's what you are as an extension of the creation. But it can be, it really can be impossible for you to perceive this if you see your body as all there is in being yourself. Your body is full of limits. If you look for freedom in a body, you are looking for it where it doesn't exist. Look at it this way. If fear's impact is so negative, why haven't people naturally discarded the practices that continue its presence? What I mean is the mind can be made free when it no longer identifies itself as a body, firmly tied to it and sheltered as though the body is the master. Come on, most often we think that our body is our master, that our body has us bound and chained and imprisoned, so to speak. As I discuss in my book, The Master of Everything, that I just showed you, when identified with the body, we feel vulnerable to outside influences that dictate and try to rule us, leaving us feeling afraid to take action without approval. Don't we think that we need approval to go after something positive? This is all in my book, The Master of Everything. But don't we feel as though, but we don't really need to have permission from anyone, because when we do try to get permission, we're just asking other egos to give our ego permission. There's something to be said about esoteric nature, and what esoteric nature is, meaning just doing it while knowing that the rest of the world is behind you. Let's consider a few things that we do that keep us from this kind of a nature. Number one, placing blame and becoming defensive, expecting more pain and fear in our lives, will only allow the ego-based mind to take advantage of us by placing blame and becoming defensive, which only gives us a life of conflict. And we have a life of conflict, we cannot be totally free. This is not freedom. The ego's help will only keep us in the vicious circle discussed in my book, taking us on the ride of around and around the vicious circle of blame and excuses, keeping us from taking action on what it is we truly want to do in life. We try to figure out where to get off the insane merry-go-round. Our time in this world runs out, and sooner or later, and then do we want to spend the rest of our life on this merry-go-round deciding what we're going to do, or thinking that, how am I going to live my true free will? How am I going to live my purpose? And all of a sudden, time is over? No, we don't want that to happen. But we worry about that, don't we? Sure we do. This keeps us always turning to the ego for peace. Body. We want to keep turning to the body for peace and security, as though we're constantly asking, when am I going to find it? And we never do. The more we depend on the ego-based mind in this way, the more fearful we get, because we get so afraid that we're not going to achieve what it is we want before our time runs out. Bottom line is, we got to let go of the ego. We never do take action toward our purpose, which is our true free will, and we remain stuck in fear. The next thing that we need to consider is the shadows of our real strength. This statement is true. The abilities we now possess are only shadows of our real strength. Jesus said this, but those people back then in those times couldn't understand it. And the people that wrote the Bible tried to interpret it in their own way. But yes, he said the abilities we now possess are only shadows of our real strength. Think about that. The most effective way to get out of the vicious circle of the fear of advancement is to expose yourself to new opportunities or considering new options. This is the abundant characteristic of truly successful people, because they realize their present abilities, such as right-mindedness, what right-mindedness is the part of you that realizes the ego is trying to take control, but you're above the ego and you just notice the ego like a bratty child and you just let it go and put it aside. That's the right-minded you. So the right-minded you can allow yourself to take action without fear, and that's what successful people in this world do. And that's what I've learned to do by following these people. And I can mention some names, but I don't have permission to give their names out right now, so I won't. But you can think of them, and you know who they are. They know that they must repeatedly break out of the ego's hold of their own history and personal limitations in order to experience creative breakthroughs. We've had these kind of heroes that made these breakthroughs down through history, including Jesus that I just had mentioned, and so many other spiritual masters, and other people that weren't spiritual masters, but business leaders, world leaders, that were great people. But yes, maybe they had a spiritual side to them that back then we didn't think of spirituality as, we've always thought of spirituality as the, wearing the robes and the cloths and, being a man of the cloth or something like that was spirituality. But that's changing. See, we're not going to advance in anything that we pursue if we are imprisoned by our own fears. We can't be chained and shackled and handcuffed by our fears. We must realize the opportunities we have in all areas of our lives, or at least realize the step that we're on now at this moment before we choose to move up to our real potential. In other words, what that means is realize the step you're on now, then make the decision to take the next step forward towards your real potential. Stay on that step for a while. Look at where you're at, then take another step towards your real potential, step by step, but focus on the step you're on now. A Course in Miracles says, A Course in Miracles that I study daily, which I'm so fond of, A Course in Miracles states, "For you do have control over your mind, since the mind is the mechanism of decision." So just as important is understanding, the fearless side of the continuum. Say like in that business meeting, for example, or, having a strong vision of what a fearless business commitment, or even, in personal relationships may mean. What I mean is, are we afraid of going after that business deal? Or are we afraid of getting too close in that certain relationship? Why? A vision of trust. Well, we don't know why, but my point is, what I'm trying to say is, why don't we just take a vision of trust have a true vision of trust, because because we know that we're taking a step toward freedom. A vision of trust gives us a step toward freedom as our choice, and it helps us establish positive goals. What helps me is to read books that broaden my thinking, because I know it's worth it. If you want to break through of the vicious circle of being stuck in the same old rut that's keeping you from your true and full potential, take a look at others who are living their true free will and loving their life. Take a look at them. Look at them seriously. Think about what they're doing. Hey everyone, for more, click my website in the description box of this YouTube video, jamesnussbaumer.com. You'll go to my Real Abundance page. It will give you a few links to check on, some videos to watch, and go from there. And I hope the best for you, and I wish a great life for you. There's nothing to be afraid of in this world, not at all. And maybe if you get to know me a little more, you'll learn why, that I can tell you there really is nothing to be afraid of in this world. God bless you, and I wish the best life for you ever.